Woman who doesn't want the child that she's carrying. Isn't that child going to be later on neglected or even abused?
How you feel here 2 months pregnant is not predictable of how you'll feel the day the baby is in your arms.
90% of battered children were planned pregnancies. Furthermore, since abortion is legal in this nation, child abuse has gone up 500%.
But doesn't a woman have a right to her own body?
First of all, from a scientific point of view, it's not her own body. This is a totally separate, unique little individual. In fact, the little one in her womb is foreign tissue to the mother's body.
Now, we have some pictures here, Ann, that, here's where it's at. You have to look at reality.
This is a little girl that was born 21 weeks into the 40-week pregnancy. She weighed just 1 pound 3 weeks after birth when this picture was taken. That's the nurse's wedding ring on her forearm to give you an idea of how tiny that little premature baby was.
Here's another picture, a famous Life magazine cover, almost the same age. Now, the Supreme Court says you can kill this little boy. You don't have to give a single reason, any licensed physician in any of the 50 states.
They can bail out and be born, say, the night before their scheduled execution the next day. Then you cannot kill them if they are born. But if they live in the womb, that's the free fire zone in this nation today.
What difference does birth make? Really, the big change is a change in charm. For now you can see the baby. And who would want to kill a baby you can see? Let's go down a little younger. Here's 16 weeks. Does that look like a baby? Let's drop 2 more weeks. Here's one at
14 weeks. Should he be protected? And this is a little one, 11 weeks old, just a third of the way through the pregnancy.
You notice he's sucking his thumb. The baby begins to breathe, swallow, digest, urinate, have tiny little liquid bowel movements. Now the baby sleeps, but will wake up if there's a loud noise in the room or the mother bounces down the stairs. And why do you think that a new mother is more successful in cuddling a fretful child? More successful than Grandma, who's certainly a better and more experienced babysitter? The baby has been hearing the mother's voice for 6 long months inside of her, and the baby recognizes the mother's voice. And that's why she's calmed more. At this age, a baby feels pain, can be taught things, and we even have dream patterns on the brain waves when we do them inside the womb. These babies are killed by abortion.
This little pair of feet are from a 10-week developing baby. They're as completely formed as yours or mine because it's by 10 weeks that the tiny little body is totally formed, even down to fingerprints. This is an award-winning photo of a tiny little baby just 6 weeks after conception. You can already see the eyes and the little hands and feet. Now, if you tickle the little developing nose, he could already pull his head away.
This is when brain waves are first recordable.
18 days, the tiny little heart is already pumping blood through that tiny little body, a type probably differing from that of the mother. By 10 days, this new individual, with a remarkable display of hormonal power, stops his mother's menstrual periods and is in complete charge of the pregnancy from there on in.
When the sperm and the ovum complete their joining, fertilization, conception, we have a single cell. Each of us once was that single cell. And contained within the single cell, Anne, that you once were, was contained the totality of everything you are as you sit here. The color of your hair, the size of your shoes, the fact that perhaps when you're 50 you'll get diabetes. All of this was in that single cell. For the scientific fact is this: nothing has been added to the single cell who you once were, nothing but food and oxygen. All you've done since then is grown up. This is what's left after the typical so-called safe legal suction abortion. Here we have about a 2.5-month baby. That suction has just torn the body of that little baby to pieces. Here is a late abortion, almost 4.5 months. A poisonous salt solution injected into the baby's bag of waters. Takes several hours to kill the little kid, and then the mother goes into labor to deliver a dead baby. And here is 1 day's production at a Canadian teaching hospital showing you a number of these dead babies who had reached ages of 18 to 24 weeks within their mother before they were killed.
People have differing opinions as to what exactly is aborted. What's your opinion?
It's philosophical as much as anything. I don't really choose to get into that aspect of it.
So what people are differing about is when the fetus becomes a human being. Is that right?
Again, I don't consider myself an expert on what other people's points of view are on this, but I believe that the right of the potential mother to direct her own life supersede any other rights that may be present, and certainly the Supreme Court has concurred with that.
The fetus first implants itself into the wall of the uterus about 9 days following conception. It is at that time that we are able to pick up the earliest chemical signals from that fetus, indicating that it is there and that it is one of us now.
I don't think that that's an issue. Abortion is a legal option, and I think that's the issue.
You know, it's very interesting to me that if a mother is going to abort a child, she refers to it as her fetus.
Well, I was aborting a fetus. It was something that I had to do, and I really didn't get into the details at that time.
But if she is going to keep it, she calls it my baby.
I'm going to bring my baby up as best I can. I plan on keeping my baby.
You see, abortion has the power to cheapen human life.
Did you feel you had taken a human life?
Uh-huh, that's what I did.
Okay, doctor. A lot of people feel that abortion is a moral issue. Now, are there any moral absolutes or ethical principles upon which you base your opinion?
I'm really not much of a philosopher. I try not to delve into things like that too much.
We try not to make any moral decision or bring ethics into it at all.
Isn't abortion really a religious issue?
No, abortion transcends religion or any other narrow interests such as medicine. It is an issue of major public policy in this country, and it is going to have to be resolved by the men and women of this country.
I knew to get to the honest core of how I felt, I had to digest the moral side and confront the physical. I had to witness an actual abortion.
I'd like you to take some slow, deep breaths. You're going to have a nice, pleasant sleep.
Put a tenaculum on the cervix here and bring it down into view so we can begin the process of dilating the cervix.
Oh my Lord, she screamed and she's unconscious. Well, the doctor told me it was a little unusual.
Continuing to dilate the cervix.
I watched as the doctor began using dilators of increasing size.
This patient is about 12 weeks. I'm going to vacuum out the inside of the uterus now. It usually takes 1 to 2 minutes.
Now the suction procedure began. Fluids pass easily through the tube, but once the fetus is reached, the hose catches momentarily until the denser pieces are passed through the line.
And that's basically all I'm going to do.
Then it's over. The doctor working with quick professionalism because of the waiting list. After contacting over 35 abortion clinics, I was finally granted permission to observe a saline abortion at a West Coast teaching hospital.
And that's used in very late pregnancies up to 24 weeks. That's by installation of a hypertonic salt solution into the uterine cavity and then inducing the patient to go into premature labor and expelling the product of conception, usually in 24 to 48 hours.
3 hours following this patient's injection, mild labor began that ultimately lasted for 2 days. It was then that she delivered an 18-week-old dead baby. If the baby is born alive, it's considered a complication. Nurses indicate that no steps are taken to aid survival. Peggy Kilpatrick was employed at a pathology lab that facilitated abortion clinics. Her job followed the abortions, picking up the POCs.
Now, POC is a product of conception, and it's sort of a name that they've tagged onto it so it gets it out of reality and into a thing rather than a human being or an embryo or a fetus.